All right.
All right. Hi, this is James Warda, and welcome to Coincidental Conversations. Today we have with us, I think I always say a very special guest, and this is a very, very, very special guest. This is John Pogachar. John Pogachar is many things. First of all, he is a kind, courageous, loving human being. Secondly, he is a coach, a life coach, and have had personal experience with that. So, he's very good at what he does. He's also a soon-to-be author, and we'll ask him a little bit about that, his upcoming book later on. And kind of what I would consider a naturalist. He introduces people to the power of nature. He's done it for me, and he sees nature in a different way that really connects to who we are. So, and for this conversation, probably the most prominent role he has is founder of a movement called Love on Every Billboard. So let's go ahead and get into the conversation. John, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, James. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. And the other thing I have to tell our viewers is that John has a devastatingly good sense of humor. So, so be prepared. And when John and I start talking, it could go almost anywhere. So, So, John, to get us started, do you have the cup you just had with you?
Oh, no, I don't have my cup.
Okay, all right. You did a nice commercial for us. So I might ask you at the very end to do a commercial send-off. But John, I'm going to have a picture of one of the billboards accompany this, article and blog, so people can see what it is. But basically, it's imagine, if you will. Do you have your model, John, of your billboard around you?
No, I don't have that here. I don't.
Okay.
I don't have it in the car.
That's okay. That's okay. So imagine just a red billboard with the word love on it. Very classic font, and that's it. No slogans, no logos, no website, nothing. And you're driving down the road, a highway, and there's the word love, and that's it. That's where John really kind of started this movement. So John, I'm going to let you tell us, where'd this come from? Were you just kind of driving along and you said, I'd really like a billboard, but where did it start for you?
Oh, it starts and finishes and starts again. Oh, so many different places. But I think when it finally initially jumped on was like, I was out in Kings Canyon National Park and I was meditating, and I had been with a group of individuals on a coaching call in the morning, and we were always talking about self-love and how could we put more love out there for us. And I was thinking, gosh, it'd be nice to be able to put that out there, and so that everybody could have it, that everybody could entertain it, that everybody could see it. And in that thought, as I'm amongst all the sequoia trees, and they're so huge, I'm just going, how about putting it on a billboard? What would it look like to be on a billboard? And with that idea, with that grandiose idea of mine, also came all this fear about putting that out there, putting my idea out there. It's like, who are you to do something like that? Who are you to play it in that scheme of things that would be like larger than life, to put love on a billboard? And so I sat with that idea for a long time, pondering it, wondering what it would look like. And I can remember going to a retreat in October and sharing that with one individual, and them going, wow, that's a really cool idea. but it took probably a couple more months or another month before I said, that's it, I'm going to do it. And I happened to find a small little rock on a wharf in Canada that had the word love written on it. And I found it on top of a pile. This is the last kick in the butt I need. So I just kind of looked up in the sky. I says, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll go back home to my home at that time was Spokane, Washington. And I bought a billboard and put the word love on it without a URL attached to it, because I knew people were going to write stories about it. I knew the news were going to love it. I just had this knowing. It's like, well, so why put anything else on it? Because if anybody wants to find it, they can put billboard and my name together and they'll find it on the web. So didn't need anything else.
But so that's interesting, because it feels like you did it without a lot of ego, right? Because most people, if they did something like that, because if they just drive by the billboard, they're not going to know your name, and you're not taking ownership of it. Was it hard to give that? Was it hard to give that up?
You know, it's funny because that voice did come up in my head. You know, that voice came up in my head when we put up the first billboard that said "Just Love" on it. It's like, all right, you spent $950 on this sign. Is it worth it? We need to stand out in the middle of traffic and find out what people think about it. I want to know. I want to know. What are we doing? You know, and it was this voice, and it was just fun to listen to it and fun to go, okay, take a deep breath, you know, and know this is doing something that we'll never know of what is doing for people. We'll just never know, you know. And later on, we were able to talk to some individuals and ask them what they thought. And it was overwhelming, you know, like, I love this idea. It was so important for me. It made me stop and think. And what was interesting is the people that we ended talking to were mainly men that we ended up talking to. And these were mechanics. They were big, burly guys. So just like what you would think that would have never came out of them. But they were just like, oh my gosh, I so needed to see this today. It's like we were just being in a safe place for them to talk. So.
I think the part that can get missed is all the preparation you did on yourself before that billboard became a reality. Because you did a lot of work, right, around meditation and becoming a space where you were able to let go of your ego, where you could not worry as much about the outcomes. Can you tell us about that preparation you did, and you know, anyone who you prepared with, that type of thing?
That's a good question, James. You know, if we go back, you know, let's see, the billboards went up in November 2018, but if we go back to probably September 2015, I was sitting in my kitchen and looking at my Facebook page, and there's just like, this was a year before the election between Trump and Hillary Clinton. And there was so much, the nation was so divided between those two candidates, and there was so much screaming back and forth, and it was black and white. And I just yelled out into my kitchen area, and I go, where is all the love in the world? Where is all this love in the world? It's funny because I found out a couple years later that the love really had to start with myself. In fact, I didn't have to wait that long. I just had to find out that love had to start with yourself. At that time, a gentleman showed up on my Facebook feed. His name was Kyle Cease. And I go, I don't know who you are, but I'll listen to what you have to say. Because I did yell, you know, where's all the love in the world? And maybe you showed up for a reason. So I clicked on his video, and everything Kyle said just really resonated with me. He was talking about love and talking about transformation, and he's talking about moving forward with your life, and that need to get out of your way, and to see some of the things that you really need to see. So I bought. He was going to have in February. He was going to have a conference down in LA. And so I said, I'm going to go ahead and buy that ticket. So I bought that ticket and woke up that next morning and purchased also my hotel and my my flight down there, because I knew for $100 I would talk myself out of it if I waited until February, because it was, in September I saw that. In February is when the event was, but then I found out everything I could about Kyle, and just really fell in love with his ideas and stuff like that. So I went down there and had such a great time, and then went to another conference and got involved in what they call the flow group. Was just spending time with 4 people together, and Kyle and his couple of his teammates. Just the more and more I got into this transformation I did, the more and more I fell in love with this idea. The more and more I started falling in love with myself. I think a lot of that started just to clear this way of, the love's got to start with you. And do you love yourself? Because I think for a long time, I was looking for love, as I think a lot of people do, outside of them. That we looked for that in a mate. Well, maybe this person would be good to love me. Or maybe if I, if I bought a new car, then I would, feel like I've arrived and stuff. Or if I get a new home, then I feel like I've arrived. It's like, I was seeing myself doing these things too. It's like, oh, I got a new job, or I got the new car. And it's like, but I still go, well, what else is there? What else, what's on the other side of that? It was like, I still kind of, it was like happy for a little bit of time, but then empty. It's like finding that real love within yourself that's always there for you, that's always there. I mean, that's, and bring, God, source, universe, whatever you want to call this entity that beats your heart. It's like, that's who you need to be with. That's who you need to surround your life with, and surround your life with those people that also feel that same way. It's like, then the external things, I mean, if they showed up, great and awesome. And if they didn't show up, that was fine too. But it's like, I always felt then that you're held, you're divinely held, you're okay, everything's good, and I started spending a lot more time in nature, and just going, wow, nature does nothing but reach to the sky and just grows. It's never complaining. It's never saying, the pine tree never says, and I use this a lot, but the pine tree never looks down and go, I wish I was a rose bush. It just continues to be a pine tree and does its thing. And pine trees are so cool, and trees are so cool because they allow, birds to nest in their branches, and squirrels to run up and down their trunks. And it's just amazing. I'm looking out the window and I'm just seeing all this nature. It's just like so beautiful. It's like.
And where are you right now in the country? Where are you in the country?
I'm in Big Fork, Montana.
Gotcha. I'm going to add.
It doesn't ask for anything. It just does its thing and grows.
It's a space.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a space for itself just to flourish, and it's not like it's all, these straight little white picket fence things, down that you can see driving down the road, but it's, interconnected and woven together, and trees grow on top of trees, and it's just beautiful. Yeah, I just love it,
You've mentioned that one of the things you love about nature is that it's imperfect. It's not perfect.
Yeah.
Why does it not being perfect make you love it more?
I just think, it is so much like every individual that's on this world, every person, we all have all these different gifts. We all have all this different beauty. And some of us think, oh, we have to be, we got to keep up with the Joneses, but we got to keep up with this person. We got to do what they're doing. We got to buy that same shoe that somebody else just bought. But when you look at nature and you put the two together, you're just like, wow, nature just grows and just expresses itself. And then you get around a group of people that just grow and express themselves. And one may have a gift of song, and one may have a gift or a talent of, putting a car back together after it gets taken apart, and one may write poetry and draw or paint. But we all have these gifts, and we're all like nature in that we can just all grow and flourish and just be happy for who we are without having to go, I want to be like that, or I have to do that thing too. And it's okay if you want to pick up, a guitar or something. We've talked about this before, for a long time, I wanted to play guitar, but I wanted to play it like the way Brad Paisley and Keith Urban play. It's like, they've got their own unique thing. Play it like John Pogachar plays it, and if it's plunk, 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 that's fine, just work on yourself and get better and be happy that you get to do this. When I finally started saying, I'm just going to be happy being able to play, my whole idea of playing guitar turned around for me.
Well, I know I've personally watched just in the last few months that you've gone from just picking up a guitar or plunking it to starting to get really good. And I have a feeling Keith Urban is going to be calling you pretty soon.
I appreciate that.
So, and I mean it. I mean, just watching the enjoyment, because you're doing it with such enjoyment, that's the key, is you're playing, you're having fun with it. You're just letting yourself be with it in the moment with the guitar. You can feel that.
Mm-hmm.
People want to hear other people who are passionate about being in the moment, and personally, I've seen a lot of the work of Kyle Cease too, and I've seen a lot of his stuff, and that also resonates for me. So as you've started this, you make it sound so easy. You said, I came home and I bought a billboard. Well, I think a lot of people would come home and go, how do I buy a billboard? And then they'd go, I don't know. And I got to go take out the garbage, But you went and bought a billboard, So tell me about the other people that you've been meeting along the way. Who else is, because I'm guessing you've got how many billboards now?
146.
How many countries? How many states?
So 14 states across the USA, and then in 5 different countries. So Canada, and I think we've had one in each province of Canada. Russia, the Ukraine had one, Austria, and also New Zealand. So it's been fun.
Just for the people watching this, when you think of there's John Pogachar standing in a forest on a retreat or whatever, going, maybe I'm gonna put love on a billboard, right? And then a couple of years later, there's a billboard in the Ukraine. I mean, that's the power of love, right? I mean, seeing that. So any particular people that you met along the way, who put up billboards that, I know you've had, again, this is going to go up on the Chicago Tribune Media Group platform on my blog. I know you've had a billboard in near Chicago. Any other people who kind of stand out for you, who you've met along the way?
Gosh, there's so many different people that have stands out, or Kyle was instrumental in starting it, and he goes, I'll buy 3 billboards. So he did that, and And then he has an assistant that made a website for me. And it's like, she gave me that just as a gift. And she named Love on Every Billboard. And I go, Amelia, that was so beautiful of you to do. So thank you, thank you. And that's another thing, along the way, I had to learn how to receive in a big way. I had to learn how to receive some people giving me money and just saying, here you go, take this, take this. We got free billboards down in LA, for 6 months. It was fantastic, from a company called Outfront Media. I met some beautiful people, met this young lady in Detroit that was Amelia's sister, that said, I want to put a billboard up in Detroit. And then I know my brother-in-law, was talking to him about the idea. He goes, I want to put a billboard up in Havre, Montana. My sister, his wife, had passed away, and he goes, Maggie would love this idea, just putting love on a billboard. Let's just do it. So we did. The people we put a billboard up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where a couple years ago there had been a shooting at a synagogue, and I said, of course we need to put a billboard up there. I had the money to do it, so we just said, do it. So many people off the coaching calls that I had been on, not only my call, but another call that was being done, had heard about it and wanted to do that. A lady in St. Louis, Carol Glosser, she said, I'm going to put up billboards. And she ended up putting like 7 or 8 billboards up in St. Louis, Missouri, which is so much fun because the news contacted her like they have with so many other people, and just wanted to chat with her about this and how did this happen? What is this all about? And it's like, we don't want anything with it. We don't want, there's no URL, there's no, it was just a way for everybody to use love as they felt needed. And some people use it as self-love, and other people use it as a reminder that I got to be kinder to my children. I'm trying to think, let's see, there was another couple individuals in New Zealand that also had, this devastating shooting at a synagogue, and they put up 22 billboards in Christchurch, and then did such a beautiful video of it. And you can find that on our site, loveoneverybillboard.com. I also had, when we first kind of started out, we was like, it's November 5th was the first one that went up in Spokane. And then shortly thereafter, a young lady from Russia kept calling me, wanting to, just so thankful for what I had done. She had worked for a company called SCG in Nizhny Novgorod, Russia. And she goes, Jess, and we just kind of talked back and forth, but I don't think I really understand what she wanted. So finally she's on the phone and she's talking to Carol in St. Louis, and she goes, we want to put, love on a billboard in Russia. We want to do this, and Carol's talking with her, and then she tries to get a hold of me. I'm on the phone, we're talking to my daughter, and I go, I need to talk to Jessica. And so Carol, whatever Kate wants, just give her, So I get off the phone with Jessica, and she goes, Kate wanted the artwork to put up a billboard. And I go, what? Because I knew, the traction we were getting, I knew we were going to go international, but the country I thought that we'd go international with the people up north, it was going to be Canada. That was going to be the first country. Little alone did I know we were going to reach out to people in Russia and put a billboard in Russia. Not only one billboard, but 22 on Valentine's Day. And then they would fly a drone over it and also capture this beautiful word on these buildings. I just got overwhelmed. And then it's a friendship that I still have with this young lady. And we talk back and forth once in a while. Yeah, it's just been fun. But there's so many that I've met and talked with, that have put up billboards. Yeah.
So you were saying when you first started, you were very hesitant because it was like putting your own self up there. your own
Yeah,
message.
it's putting your own idea.
And really your own idea is you, right? I mean, why were you, let me, if we don't have to go here if you don't want to, but why were you hesitant about putting your idea on that billboard? And I was going to go here. Why were you hesitant about putting your idea on that billboard? And what does it mean to you that 145 billboards have gone up and you haven't had them in Russia? So tell me about that.
I think, James, we I still believe that we carry beliefs that we were passed down from when we were kids. Okay, so maybe we came up with an idea when we were a child, maybe 4, 5, 6 years old. We came up with this idea, but it gets shot down. Somebody says that's a dumb idea, or somebody said, or one of your parents, the people that you look to, that you respect, that you feed you and clothe you and everything, that they go, I don't think that's gonna work, and it really deflates you. It really makes you think, okay, well, I have no good ideas. Nobody likes what I do. Maybe I'll just go hang out in my room, whatever. And unless you have somebody that comes by and says, you know what, that is a great idea. I want to see more of what you're doing. I want to encourage you. Then that can flip that, But if you don't get that, and if every time you put yourself out there, you get pushed back, or every time you try something new, you get, knocked down for it. You get to a point then in real life where it's like, okay, well, what I know to do is I'll go work for somebody. I'll go do what they say is a good idea. I'll go work for that company. And that's what I did. I ended up working for a company, and followed under their rules, what I could do. And that's it. But when you start, and I believe this is true for any entrepreneur, when you start putting out your own idea, and if you have had that encouragement, it's like, okay, this is what I'm going to go do. I'm going to go put my own idea out there. And if I fail, I fail. And that's all part of the learning process. But if you've never had that out there, if you've never had that, and that's why it took me a month and a half to figure this one out, is like, in the past, I've been shot down. So why would this be any different? This is, my mind is saying this, this is why try anything different. I want to keep you safe. My job is to keep you safe. And so I don't want you to put that idea out there. But the idea just kept hitting me in the face every day. I mean, I saw love on people's shirts. I saw love in display windows. And I found that rock that says love on it. It's like something's telling me, something high above is telling me to go do this, just to believe in myself enough to go do this. And when I went to the billboard company and said, this is what I want to do this, and they came back and they go, well, this would be great in February, Valentine's Day. And I go, that's not what I want. You're not hearing me. This is what I want. And if it's going to be my money I put out, then I want what I want. So, they came up with an idea of putting the word love with a bunch of flowery hearts on it. I go, that's not what I want. And they go, well, help us out. And I go, I'll be right back. So I went across the city, found a friend of mine who has a computer. And I said, Nick, we got 10 minutes. I want to come up with this idea. And I go, this is what I want. I want the word love. And I said, bring up all the fonts you have. And I go, that's the perfect one right there. And I said, bring up all the reds you have. And I go, that's perfect right there. I go, put them together. And he goes, you're killing me. I need more time. I go, Nick, 10 minutes. This is all this needs. It just needs this quick idea. Because if it's any longer, it's going to go away. This is the idea I have. It's coming from somewhere higher than me. So he says, okay, I'm just going to adjust this E a little bit just so it's not smooshed into it. I said, fine, adjust the E. Now put it in a PDF file so I can have it to go, because I'll call them up. So he calls up, Nick calls up Lamar and he goes, my name is Nick Lewis. I represent John Pogachar. I'm sending over a PDF. This is how he wants his billboard. Do not change it. The colors are perfect. Da, da, da. We don't want it changed. And they said, fine. So I went back over to Lamar, signed the contract, and it came out beautiful. And they put it up. It's like, there you go. That's what you wanted. You paid for it. There's your idea. Splash it out onto a billboard and let's just see what happens. Let's just see what happens.
Wow. So a couple things. Lamar is the name of a billboard company. Just want to make sure everyone watching this knows who Lamar is.
One of the major outdoor media companies.
And Nick Lewis is who designed it. We'll make sure if he's got a website, we'll link to it from the article, give him a little bit of recognition. If I think that's how this should work, right? It should. So you were hesitant about putting up the billboard because it was your idea. It was you up there on that billboard. What does it tell you that this has had such tremendous success, that you had 22 billboards in Russia and that was you up there? What does that tell you about you?
I think it tells me that that I can do anything I want. I think it also tells me that my ideas, like everybody else's ideas, are worth putting out. They're worth speaking into the world. And when you speak an idea out to the world, it can come true. It can come true. And then the right people resonate with it and will push it forward. Not everybody in the world takes this idea and wants to put up a billboard. But the right people come to it and see it and they go, wow, this is it. And then I know this to be true because a gentleman tracked me down. He goes, you're kind of hard to track down. And they go, so I met this guy in Twin Falls, Idaho, just this small little town. He goes, I want to put up a billboard in Twin Falls and I want to keep it up for a long time. And I've got money. He goes, so help me do this and let's just make it happen. Just, the right people you will cross paths with, and yeah, magic happens.
For anyone who's watching, I want to ask you two things. Number one, are you a nonprofit? Because you're talking about people giving you money. So is the money, does that go to putting the billboards up? Can you talk just?
Yeah, it's a 501c3. It's a nonprofit organization. Yes.
Okay. And then the second thing is if somebody watching this wants to do it, what should they do? How should they contact you? How do you want them to do that?
They can contact me through Love on Every Billboard. And then there is an actual contract or contact form that they can pencil in or write in information about where they want to put a billboard. How can I help them do it? I wish I had, and maybe after Sunday when the Powerball goes up, I'll have all that money to do that. But I know, but it's totally impossible, or I'm remembering when it was. But anyway, so I need their help to put up a billboard, their financing and stuff like that. And if it's like, oh, I've got the money in my wallet, I can just give it to you and we can make that happen. Great. Or sometimes it's me coaching them through, this is them saying the same thing I did. This is a big idea. How can I put love on a billboard? Well, it's like, share it with your family, share it with your friends, do something to raise some money. And then we can do that. So, and then they can look back at it and go, wow, I did this too, because there's so many people out there that, that also want to put themselves out there, that also want to grow and expand, and I think that's what our creator, I think that's what the universe wants us to do, is just keep expanding this so it can feel all the different things that are happening in the world. So.
Well, one of the videos I saw on your site, was it Stas Arsenov?
Yes.
Stas
Arsenov.
I saw a video from him where he was one of those people who said, he kind of felt disconnected and lost, and he was looking to connect with people who, were really about, knowing themselves, loving themselves, and he connected with you, and he put together that, that video that's on your site. And
Yeah.
it's just a great video. I'll link to that video from here. What about media? I know you've gotten media attention. Haven't you gotten national media? And Jason, tell us a little bit about some of the celebrities who've been interested in Love on Every
Okay.
Billboard.
When we ended up putting Love on Every Billboard in LA, the Today Show heard about it from one of their affiliates down there. And so that happened to be on Valentine's Day. And we got, a national story. I didn't fly out there, but the producers called me and we talked about the story and what that was like. And then they did a beautiful story on Love on Every Billboard with the Today Show. So it was fun to watch them, in their semicircle, all talking about it, and what they thought about it. And then Jason Mraz had talked to he kind of sent out an email to everybody and said, I want you to point your cameras to the word, to love, whatever that means to you, point it towards love, and he's got this beautiful video that comes out, and it's looking at all sorts of different things, but then all of a sudden you get like 2 minutes and 30 seconds into this video, and it's like, you see a picture, it's kind of slides by this billboard that says love on it. And this was one of the billboards that was in St. Louis, Missouri. And it's like, oh my gosh, Jason Mraz, his videographers or himself picked, this thing to go up in the video. So it was really, really cool to see that those things happen.
That's awesome. And there's a Love on Every Billboard song, right?
Yeah. A friend of mine was singing songs, and this was in December of 2018. She was singing songs just to
what's her name?
Her name is Laurel Nakai. And she was doing this just in appreciation for different charities and she had heard about me and what we were doing, and sang one of the Beatles songs online, and it was just so beautiful, and I just was so touched by what she had done. So I called her the next day. I was able to find a phone number for her, and I called her, and I said, Laurel, I just can't believe you did this, and it's so nice to interact with you. And I said, but I have an idea, and she goes, what is it? And so I know she's a singer-songwriter. I go, could you write a song for Love on Every Billboard? And I says, I know it's got a country twang to it, so please, you could do that. Anyway, so Laurel calls me back 2 hours later, and she goes, I have the song. I go, what? I was going to say, a week or something. She goes, no. She goes, I get this download, from source. And it was so beautiful. And so she sends it to me, and I listen to it, and I tell you, James, I cried for probably a half hour, just bawled. I mean, here's somebody taking my idea and adding something to it. And it was like, it was like you paint something, and then somebody comes by and adds this beautiful tree or adds a mountain in the background. And then somebody else can come by and do this. And that's so much what this project has done. I mean, I put up one billboard end up putting up, one billboard. Somebody else added 3 more, and then somebody else added so much more. And it's like this beautiful painting. And now we're wrapped around the whole world. And and so, but Laurel put that song together called Love on Every Billboard. I just loved it. It did have a country twang to it. And we were able to get her to come to Spokane, and we recorded it. And so it is a song out there called Love on Every Billboard. And you guys can, maybe you can put a link into it and let people listen to it, because it is a beautiful song. And I will drive down the road, and when I sing a bunch of billboards play that song and just cry, because it's like, in my eyes, all the billboards just say love. So there's no advertising anymore. It's just like, just love. So
I will definitely put a link to that. And it just strikes me with all these stories, how you put love out into the world and how much love that has brought back to you.
yeah, most definitely. Most definitely.
I mean, because what she
Yeah.
was really saying with that song was, John, we love you.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's been good. It's been fun to see what everybody else wants to do with it. Yeah.
And a meme just came to me. I just picture, because you said, I have an idea. And I just picture you like this going, I have an idea, and a light bulb over your head. You know, and
Yeah.
it's just fun. It's exciting. I
Yeah.
just had a couple more questions. So you
Yeah.
are a soon-to-be author,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Tell us about your soon-to-be book. What's it about?
Well, my book is about, and it's good. It's titled 10 things on my 10 things I want my mom and dad to know before I'm 5 days old. And that came out of finding out that I was going to have a grandson. And now my grandson is like, what, 19 months old, but, and we're still getting this done. But it was like, after having gone through all this transformational work and this mindfulness and working with Kyle and, you know, and reading stuff from Abraham Hicks and Wayne Dyer and all these other transformational speakers. Neil Donald Walsh is another person that I just so enjoyed. But it's like, what does a baby child coming down from God want? It's like, all I want is to be loved. Can you just love me? You know? And what if we just meditated? You know, it's like he was saying, and he says in the book, I meditated for 9 months and look what happens. You know, I've got all my fingers, I've got 2 eyes, I've got a head, you know, and I didn't have to do anything. All I did was meditate. All these things came to me. And another thing I just love about it is like, Mom and Dad, I love what you do. I mean, I see your hobbies and stuff like that and what you do for work. It's like, great, but you know, let me do what I want to do, you know. It's like, I don't want to do the same thing Grandpa did, the same thing Dad did, the same thing that I don't want to be that. I want to do something I want to do, and I want to be encouraged for that. So a lot of these things are in that book. And I call it a children's book, but I think it's so much slanted towards the parents. It's like, allow your child to bloom in all the ways it wants to do, and support it in all these ways, because I believe the children are the ones that are going to affect this world so much more. And if they're given the chance to do that, if they're encouraged. I know my grandson, I saw a picture of him playing in the middle of a mud puddle, and he doesn't talk yet, but, you know, or he's got a few words, but he doesn't completely talk. But it's like, I just know the story, or what he's trying to tell me is like, Grandpa, life is going to be a little messy, but be okay to play in it. Just play in the water. Just be okay. It's like, have fun with it. Enjoy. And it's like, enjoy the journey, because it's not all going to be sunshine and roses. Sometimes we'll have to sit in the middle of the mud puddle and play. So.
Well, and I know you're a wonderful artist, and it's going to be filled with some of your own illustrations, which I think is really powerful.
Yeah, and for that came at the insistence of you and some other friends that had said, you know, draw your own, go draw your own. Quit waiting on everybody else to draw something for you. Go do your own thing, you know.
And they're wonderful.
And I've learned
your illustration. Your
Thank
illustrations
you.
are wonderful.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
And I just continued to learn that. Keep putting your ideas out there. You know, you did the love billboard thing, but you know, that's one thing. And then it's like, then it's kind of like, oh, I don't know if I have anything else to give. But when you start opening yourself up, there's so many more things to do. You know, the idea, and I've heard this before, is like, we all have one good book in ourselves. And I want to say bull, you know, on that, because I think we have tons of books inside ourselves, maybe millions of books inside. And all we have to do is sit down and listen and start writing, you know, all I have to do is start writing, and stuff, I would say genius comes out of me, and it's just on a page. It's like, wow, that is awesome. Or when we get together and we start talking, it's like, wow, where did that come from? You know, it's like, yeah, we just have to start talking. Yeah.
And I know with your book, I know you had talked about possibly updating the title to say 10 things I want my parents to know about me, just to be like inclusive of all different types of families. So I don't know if you're still thinking of doing that too.
Yeah, it's kind of bopping it back and forth, but I still like the mom and dad idea. So
Okay.
we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So I think just overall, oh, and then the last thing I wanted to touch on, you're also a coach, right? You're a life coach.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing life coaching. So working with people, getting them to, you know, to learn to express more of themselves, getting to let them know that, hey, you know, this is where all the ideas come from. This is where there's so much, you know, can we love ourselves? And if we're not loving ourselves, where do we need to go to do that? Because there's work to be done, you know. It's like going to the gym and going, well, I see the bench press over there, and I see the curling machine over there, and great, thanks for telling me all about it. But you're not going to get anything out of it unless you lift those weights. So unless you sit down and meditate, you know, you're not going to get anything out of it.
Yeah, I know you gave me we were talking earlier this week, and you gave me a really good prescription. You remember what Dr. Pogachar prescribed? What did you say to go do?
I said, go meditate 2 hours a day. Go do this. Go take some time and just meditate.
Yeah.
And in fact, if we would form our life around our meditation, so many of these voices, this nonsensical voice that comes up and says you can't do something, just falls away. And then we're able to go out and do what we want. You know, whether that's go take a walk in nature, or go start journaling, or go write your own book, or paint your own picture, or, you know, just do whatever. We'd find out that there was so much more important. But we have to do the work for those things to fall away.
You know, John, thank you. This has been great. And, you know, I call this series Coincidental. Oh, wait. Yes, go ahead.
I have one other project that we're working on is we're doing a documentary film. We're doing another documentary.
I'm sorry. Yes, yes. That was the main point I wanted to do this interview. I think I need to go.
You know,
I think I need to go meditate. All right, hold on. Hold on, let's take 2. Ready? Okay, here we go. Okay. Hey, John, before we go, I had a question for you. My understanding is that you're putting a documentary together about Love on Every Billboard because of a very special milestone. What's that milestone, and what's this documentary going to be about?
You know, back in April, I have to tell this story because back in April, I was in California, but doing an interview with people in Spokane, and they were going, well, what's the next thing for Love on Every Billboard? And I said, I think there's a film somewhere, and I don't know what it's going to look like. And I kind of have an idea, but there's a film. So, and then in August, a producer friend of mine goes, hey, I think there's a documentary film, and would you like to do that? You know? And at first I didn't realize, I didn't remember I had spoke that out in April. But then I was going through some stuff because he wants some content for the film. And I was going through some stuff and I go, oh my gosh, I spoke that out in April. And then in August, this guy shows up that wants to do this. It's like, speak your ideas out and then watch who comes to play. So Dave Krieger, he's a friend of mine in Spokane. He shows up, let's put together a film. He goes, and he showed me this budget, of what it's going to look like, So we are in the midst of raising $60,000 for this documentary film that we want to take and put in front of a bunch of film festivals next year. But it is going to be about love on every billboard, and it's going to be about nature, and it's going to be about where this has gone and where's the possibility of it to go even further. So I'm so excited about that, and about stepping one more into this. Who do I have to be now? I mean, my title is the executive producer, but there's a content creator because of all the different stories I have in my head about this. And just living more out in nature, being more in nature. So it's like, I just feel like I'm expanding more and more and more, like the universe does. It just continues to expand. And I think I see myself doing that so much more now than ever before in my life. It's just like, just continue to expand, and the more you play with it, where can this idea continue to go on to? So, and who am I going to meet? I have no idea. I mean, I met you because I'm in this group, and we've formed this great friendship and have done so much, fun things together. Although we've never been, in the same physical room together, but we've had so much fun chatting on the phone, talking. And so I don't know who's I going to meet, who's going to help push this forward. Who knows? But I'm totally open to the universe bringing me people.
Well, first of all, I'm really glad I remembered to ask you about the documentary. Actually, you reminded me to ask you about the documentary. And if people wanted to support you with funds to help with the documentary, can they do that? Where can they do that? And I'll put a link on this article too. Where can they go?
They can go to loveoneverybillboard.com and go directly right to the donate button and just donate money for it. And they can, I'm sure there's a little note section, so they could say Love on Every Billboard film. They could donate that way.
Okay.
So they can do that way.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, I write about Disney a lot. I love, I'm a huge Disney fan, write about it. And just so much of what you are talking about feels like a lot of the feelings and emotions and everything that I get out of Disney, Disney World. And so it's just interesting how that's resonating. I'm wondering if we could get love on a billboard at Disney World or on Cinderella's castle. We'll have to see. We'll have to talk to the people at Disney and see if we can make that happen.
That sounds awesome.
You just
when you say that, also the idea of that would be really, really cool to put love in Disney World and Disneyland. I would love to see. All right, I'm just going to speak this out there, but in the Smithsonian Institute. Oh my gosh, what a love on every billboard, or a billboard that just says love in the Smithsonian.
Well, how about what you asked Elon Musk to do?
Oh yes.
Tell our viewers, what did you ask Elon Musk to do?
Well, Elon Musk is taking SpaceX to the moon, and so I was going, well, we could put a billboard on the moon. Why not put a billboard on the moon? Stick that right next to the flag. In fact, I even have a picture in my website of a billboard on the moon. So it's like, well, that could happen.
Well, if in 3 years you took it from an idea to having 22 billboards in Russia, I am not going to doubt that in a year you can have a billboard on the moon. I'm just not going to doubt that. And I'm just going to end with this little story here. I recently did a cross-country trip, road trip. I did a road trip, and I was watching the billboards, and you had billboards about everything, and you go into different regions of the country and the billboards really reflect the regions you're in. So I saw billboards about, gas stations, restaurants, but I saw billboards about, come see Bigfoot, billboards about Jesus, and billboards about every billboard. And it felt like all these billboards were just kind of yelling at me, And I thought, wouldn't it be nice if just one of these billboards just said love? Because that would allow me to take a breath. You know, to me, your billboards are our meditation. They are a breath. You know, they're a space. So just remember, just love. Love yourself, love everybody else. You're here for today. Love it. So thank you for that, John. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for being here. We'll put all those links on the article. And thank you to you for watching Coincidental Conversations. We'll see you on the next episode. Take care. Bye.